Yo, so I got my man right here, fantasy champion right here in the building, man. Luckily, I'm able to get a face-to-face meetup, man, because I know with most of the owners in the league, it'd be like a lot tougher to get a face-to-face meetup, or there'll be some travel expenses involved in the face-to-face meetup, since, you know, a lot of owners are out of state, but it's all good. But yeah, man, this the fantasy champion. Let me show y'all the money he about to win off of, you know, winning the championship real quick. So yeah, man, it's that's 520s right here. 520s. 520s. The kid about to get for being one of the realest NBA fantasy owners for this season, man. Another 4 Benjamin Franklin's. 100, man. 100. I'm feeling like Mayweather right now, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's what it is, man. 500, man, for the fantasy win. So yeah, man, I just got a couple questions for the kid. I'm looking at his roster right now. He had, let me see.
I had a pretty low key roster this year. Probably a lot. Of
yeah. He knows his roster. You know your roster by heart, right? You should,
I know
right?
my roster. Yeah.
All right. So what? Who are the most? All right. Who is the best player on your roster? Who is the name the top 5 from 1 to 5 in ranking order? Who you think gave you the most fantasy value for this season, right? For this, 2017 season.
So throughout the season, like on average,
Start with 5. Who
Start
you
with
think?
5. All right, I'll go point guard through center because I had a pretty balanced team. So
all right, cool.
It went Mike Conley, and then Bradley Beal, shooting guard, Kawhi Leonard, small forward, and then Miles Turner and Horford from my bigs.
Cool. And who do you think was your most disappointing fantasy player?
Disappointing.
That you had to drop.
Who did I end up dropping?
And who's the most disappointing fantasy player that you didn't drop?
Right.
There were 2 questions.
Man, it was a long season, but this was a relatively small player. But I know I took Deladova. I think I took him with like a 6th or 7th pick or something.
6th round pick.
Yeah, because he was gonna be the starting point guard of the Bucks, and I thought he would be good in this format in terms of high 3-point percentage and low turnovers. Was what I was looking at, but he was pretty inconsistent all season. I ended up dropping him right before the playoffs, and then he had a couple good games after that. But yeah, he was one of the. I think I only dropped 1 or 2 players from my starting draft all season, actually, like in my starting lineup at least. So yeah, he might have been most disappointing, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So who was your most disappointing player that you kept on your roster? That's still on your roster, like after you won it all. You would estimate.
They'd probably have to go to probably Wesley Matthews. Once again, it was like a mid to late round pick, so it wasn't like huge.
Do you remember what round you picked him in? Possibly. If you had to guess what round you picked him in, what round? Because I could double check right now.
Probably like 9th or 10th round.
9th or 10th. Okay, we're gonna double check right now what round you picked him in.
Because I think he was supposed to be a starter. I was thinking like, okay, so the Mavs team is pretty weak, right? They just signed starter Harrison Barnes, but he's kind of unproven in Golden State. So I thought if Wes Matthews could just stay healthy, especially in this low turnovers and 3-point percentage, I thought he was going to be really good in that. But he ended up having a bunch of injuries, and he was on and off. So like his field goal percentage was like below 40%, which was kind of disappointing. But I ended up I don't think I ever dropped him. I think I held. I'm
going to draft history right now. So you said you drafted him. What round you predicted? You think you drafted him?
I think 9th or 10th.
9th or 10th? Okay, we're going to check right now officially. We're gonna check right now officially which round he drafted Wesley Matthews. He say he is his worst fantasy player that's still on his roster that he didn't drop. We're gonna check what round he drafted him right now. We going to the history of the draft right now.
Draft recap, I think.
History,
A draft
recap.
Right next to it.
Draft recap, yeah. So, alright. Let's just look at all the players he drafted for the winner of the league. First round, he drafted, of course, Leonard from the Spurs. Second round, he drafted
Horford. Oh shit! I didn't realize I took Horford with the second pick.
Second round, he drafted. Let me see.
Al Horford. It's a pretty mediocre.
Al Horford.
Second round.
Yeah.
But.
And then let's see, third round. Third round, he drafted. Who you drafted third round? Conley.
Conley turned out well.
Oh yeah, what you thought about that? Didn't Conley get injured? What week did Conley? You remember Conley did get injured, and they say he might be out for a long time. Then he came back. He came back super quick out of nowhere.
So Conley,
that was interesting, yo.
Conley was kind of on off. So you guys probably know Conley signed the biggest contract in free agent history, which is a little ridiculous. But at the same time, he's until he got that contract, he was one of the league's most underrated players, especially for our format. He has one of the best assist to turnover ratios for any point guard in the league. So when I
so what other point guards have a assist to turnover ratio that can compete with Conley? You would estimate.
Probably the only guy I can think of is Rubio.
What about CP3?
Okay. I gotta give
possibly
that to
him.
Yeah.
So they're both
up there
for the most part. Okay.
Actually, CP3 probably leads the league.
So what was Mike Conley? You remember his ratio?
He had over 6 assists and I think right around 2 turnovers. So I think it was right around 3-1, 3 assists. To 1.
Okay, 3-1. Okay, yeah. Cool.
And I think the other top guys, so like CP3.
Y'all can double check that if y'all want. I'm not gonna double check that myself.
I'm pulling numbers out of my ass right now, but I think CP3 was probably around 9 assists to like a little over 2. So he might have been close to the lead. I think the three top guys are probably like CP3, Conley, and Rubio.
Okay.
But when I took my first pick is Leonard, because Leonard's for the top guys, he was the lowest turnover guy. When you're looking at like Curry, Harden, and like Durant, 80.
Wait, because you could have taken. Yeah, you could have taken. You only could have taken Karl Anthony Towns, DeMarcus Cousins, Damian Leonard, Chris Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, so
like Lillard and Cousins were like high turnover guys. Cat's like he's technically low turnovers, but for a big man, he's I mean obviously he's a great player, but he gets about the same amount of turnovers as Kawhi. So when I ended up taking Kawhi, I kind of set my mind to okay, I'm gonna go for a low turnover team, because lots of times when you get into leagues with turnovers, all the top teams are gonna be high in turnovers, right? So during the regular season, I probably won and lost about 50-50 in terms of turnovers. But I knew once it got to the playoffs and I was playing the top teams with all the top guys like Westbrook and Harden and Curry, I was going to be probably the best turnover team in terms of the top few. So I kind of built my team around that. I had a choice. I think when I was drafting, my choices were between Cousins and Kawhi. So if I wanted to go for counting stats, I was going to go for Cousins because he gets, points, steals, assists, blocks, steals, everything. And Kawhi is high percentages and low turnovers. So once I took Kawhi, I set myself to a good percentage team, low turnovers, which is why I got guys like Horford and Conley in my next rounds.
So you picked who did you pick? You picked Conley in the third round. The second round, who did you pick again? The second round?
Second round I got Horford. Third round.
Okay, Horford, and then fourth round you got Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
So what you thought about his production this season?
So Bradley Beal is probably he might be tied for MVP of my team. I've always loved Beal. On my I'm in this other fantasy league that's like a 30-team league, and I've been in that one for 4 or 5 years now. and he was one of my top picks. And the thing is, I love Bradley Beal as a real life player.
You got him in the 4th round, okay.
Yeah. And but he's always been injury prone, which has been really tough because, you know, injury prone guys are tough to own. But I always told myself, and maybe I just got lucky this year, but I told myself that Bradley Beal, you know, he's a young guy, and his injuries have been kind of minor. They're ticky-tack, you know. It's not like ACL injuries or like, you know, severe ankle injuries. Like it's stress fractures, which is like it's kind of pussy shit.
Okay, let me tell you all the dudes you took Bradley Beal over in this 4th round. You took him over Chandler Parsons, Dennis Schroeder, Nerlens Noel, Zach LaVine, Rudy Gay, Dwayne Wade. You pretty much took him over all players that pretty much get injured too.
Yeah, the only player that could come close to him is maybe LaVine, but he ended up getting injured at the end of the season, and he's out for the season, which, I mean, sucks, but yeah.
Cool. And also, round 5, you took, you took Miles Turner. Interesting. Okay. What you thought about? You thought Miles Turner production was above average, or like
So Miles Turner was probably my he probably outperformed his draft position as the most out of all my players. So 5th round. What does that say? What pick did I take him with?
You took Miles Turner.
71.
Yeah, over Jabari Parker, who got injured. Ken Bazemore, Reggie Jackson, who got injured. Jahlil Okafor, who got injured. Dean Randall.
So 71st pick for Miles Turner. I think he was like around like top 20 or top 25 player. So he probably outperformed his draft position the most for my team. I took a flyer on him. I didn't expect him to be that well, honestly, but I just looked at the playing time available. The Pacers didn't have anyone else at their center. Like, there's other centers were like what? Kevin Seraphin and Lavoy Allen. I was like, okay, he's gonna start and he's gonna get over 30 minutes a game. So cross my fingers and hope he puts up some stats, you know? Yeah. And he turned out really well. He's one of the few guys that gets you I think he's probably like top 3 or top 5 at least in blocks per game. He put up like 2 blocks a game. And he doesn't hurt you in free throw percentage, and he hits threes, and he doesn't hurt you in 3-point percentage. So he was kind of low key. He only averaged, I think, like 14 points around, but I think he was like a top 20 or 25 value because of good percentages, low turnovers.
Okay, cool. I see 6th round you did draft DeMarre Carroll, who did have higher expectations, but I know you dropped them during the playoffs, right? Possibly.
Yeah, I dropped him. He had an injury during the late season, so I ended up dropping him because I was just trying to get stats.
You dropped them in the 1st round or in the 2nd round? Or
I think I might have actually dropped him like
finals before the finals started.
Yeah, like the last week or 2 of the regular season.
Oh, okay. So you dropped them right before finals started, pretty much. Did you play him in the semifinals? Or you don't remember?
I think I actually picked him back up, but I never played him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So who do you think was your most player on your team that surprised you the most on your fantasy squad?
In terms of guys I drafted, I'd have to go
all the players. You can name all of them who surprised you with the numbers they put up.
So probably 2 players that helped me the most. In terms of outperforming the draft position, Miles Turner. Took him in the 5th round. He was probably like a 2nd or 3rd round pick at the end of the season. So he outperformed that. And then for my best waiver pickup, I didn't get him until like the very end of the season. But Joe Ingles low-key helped my fantasy squad a lot. He fit my build. So my build was good percentages and high threes, and low turnovers. So there's 3 in our format. We got field goal, 3-point, and free throw percentage, and then 3-pointers and turnovers. So if you can grab players that shoot a lot of threes over 40%, they're probably gonna help all of those categories.
Cool.
So Joe Ingles, he was low key in terms of for points. He only averaged like 6 or 7 points and like 2 or 3 rebounds, 2 or 3 assists, which doesn't seem like a lot, but he shot good percentages. He made like 2 threes a game, and he had low turnovers. So
cool.
He was a good pickup for my team late in the season.
So who do you think let's okay, who do you think overall okay, so we talked about your roster right now. So the MVP of your roster was definitely Leonard, right? Of course. There's no debate about that.
Overall, we gotta give Leonard. He's my best player.
For sure.
Carried my team.
So if you think so you picked up Leonard, why did you pick up Leonard before anybody else? You could have picked up CP3, you could have picked up other kids. What made you pick up Leonard first round? What was your thought process behind that?
A big thing for me was just Duncan retiring. I knew Leonard was going to have to carry a big load. The big risk with Leonard, honestly, is we all know Popovich likes to sit players late in the season. Especially, during the whole season, really. But especially late in the season, if the Spurs got like a,
if they're competing for a playoff spot,
if their playoff spot's locked up, we know he's going to sit a lot of players. And late in the regular season is playoff season for fantasy. So the big risk with Leonard was really, once we get to the playoffs, he could be sitting a lot of games, which actually it happened. He sat like at least a game per matchup, I think, which that was a risk I took on, but I knew because he had low turnovers considering all the other categories. Like he's great in all percentages and he helps in all the counting categories. Really, the games missed for sitting for rest was the only risk with regards to him. So, but it was a risk I had to take,
Cool. So your first round matchup was against. Your first round matchup was pretty easy, and your second round matchup, pretty much all your playoff matchups were pretty easy. It seemed like.
Second round.
What you thought about your playoff matchups overall? Like, how would you summarize your playoff matchups overall? From first round to semis to finals.
Well, I was pretty. I guess I was pretty lucky during the regular season in terms of health.
Oh yeah, so when did you take over the number 1 seed in the regular season? Do you remember what week?
About halfway through. I was always near the top. I think about halfway I took over the number 1 seed and kind of held on to it. But our league's pretty close, Any league with turnovers and like 3-point percentage, like that's enough categories that it's gonna keep things pretty close. So things were close, but I guess even though like a couple guys on my team got injured, like most of my main guys stayed pretty healthy, which is always a luck factor.
So who's all the players that got injured who on your team that missed weeks for you?
So Horford missed a while.
How many weeks did Horford miss?
He missed at least a couple.
Okay, and around like in the middle of the season?
In the middle of the season, yeah.
Okay.
That's where I got lucky. Most of my guys missed games early in the season. By the time playoff came around, I was healthy. So Horford missed game like 2 or 3 weeks in the middle of the season. Conley missed like over a month in the middle of the season. I remember Conley.
They said he might be out for longer, but then he came back super quick.
I got lucky there. See, I was a little desperate for point guards there because Conley was my main point guard, and then, as I said earlier, Dellavedova was one of my other main draft picks, but he ended up playing terrible, so I dropped him. And that's why I made I think it was my only trade of the season, actually. I traded for Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, it was like what?
Jeremy Lin for Harkless.
So it was like 5 trades it was like 5 or 6, 7 trades during the season. Like at least like 3 or 4 of them went through, and then the other few got vetoed. Yeah. You remember seeing the veto trades, right? Yeah,
I saw a couple of
What was your thought on the veto trades that you saw? Because actually, even though I manage the league, you know what I mean? I don't even know which owners are the one, because I think it only takes 4 owners to veto a trade.
Okay.
And I vetoed one of them, but I'm not sure exactly, which owner. It doesn't show me which owners they vetoed to the other trades. So it was interesting because it was a couple of trades it was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, a couple at the end got vetoed. Personally, my opinion on vetoes is I don't really believe in vetoes. I think people should be able to do whatever they want. We all got our money invested in the league, right? And it's like, it's not a redraft, so there's no real future incentive. So like, if you have your $40 on the line, everyone's like trying to win this season, right? So if you want to make whatever trade you want to make, I feel like you have that right.
Okay.
So I didn't vote for any vetoes, but
okay,
at the same
cool.
time,
Cool. The winner of the league didn't vote for any vetoes. Interesting. So it only takes 4 owners to veto a trade. So it got 2 trades that got vetoed. It was 4 owners that came up, man, and said no. So that's a quarter of the league. So that's what it is. What you think about the rule of a quarter of a league? The quarter of a league could that's the rule right now. Right. 4 owners could veto a trade. What you think about that rule? And any other rules regarding our fantasy league? How do you think we could possibly make it better to make it more efficient? For everybody, more fair for everybody. What's your thoughts on that? What's your answer on that?
Well, as far as vetoes go, for the most part, I feel like if people put their money down, they got the right to do what they want to do with their team. A lot of it when it comes down to fantasy is just how you predict how people will do, and that's that really comes down to opinion. So just because I think player X might play really well and I want to trade for him, if other people want to veto that, it's kind of it can almost be unfair to the player. Even if people are vetoing because they think the other side's winning, it might it might hurt the other side more. But on that same note, since the only guy I really know personally in the league is Terrence here, obviously it's almost like I have like a disadvantage for trading versus I don't know how many of you other guys, FSU guys maybe.
Oh yeah, no other people and everything. Yeah, I feel like it's only a couple of people that know a couple of people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, everybody don't know everybody. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, that's why.
Because the 16 owners, everybody can't know everybody unless we all met up in one specific area.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So as far as when it comes to vetoes, basically my philosophy is this: if you're making it because you really believe it gives your team the best chance to win, I feel like you have that right. And people can't tell you what to do. The only time I think vetoes come into play is if there's some sort of like collusion involved. So like maybe if like one team's out of the playoffs for sure, like he's in last place and he's like, oh hey, like he talks to one of the top teams, if he's his buddy and he's like, I'll give you my top player for like a shitty player if like you give me like a little cut of your winnings, like $20 or something. Cool. That's the only time I think vetoes are involved. But as far as I'm concerned, like you gotta trust that everyone in the league's like cool and they're trustworthy. So I think everyone is a man of their word, and if they want to do what they want to do with their team, they have a right to.
Yo, so. You said I remember you said you were shocked that I won my semifinal matchup. You thought I didn't win the matchup.
Yeah.
How did you review it? Did you review the matchup? Did you look at Did you check the scores?
I was
and
checking
everything.
It.
Like, what was your thought process behind that whole semi? Because you thought you was gonna be facing another player in the finals, but the way it's set up, you know what I'm saying? That's how the league goes. What you thought about that?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. So you missing Durant was a big blow to your team, and I feel like you making to the finals that's pretty impressive. In one of my other fantasy leagues, one of my main leagues, I got Durant on my team. And
wait, how many other fantasy leagues were you in?
So I'm in 3 money leagues. And then
2 other money leagues.
2 other money leagues, and then 2 leagues for fun that I don't really check in on that much. But the one I've been in longest for like 6 years, that's a dynasty league, so you can keep like all your players basically. And Kevin Durant's like my main player in that one. So when he went down this year, he kind of fucked me over. I actually had it's a 30-team league, and I had the best record in the league, but I lost first round because I didn't have Durant. So you losing Durant and still making the finals, that says a lot about your team's depth. But I remember watching the semifinals. I was looking at your matchup with Whiteside.
It was Whiteside. Look on the Whiteside.
Yeah, look on the Whiteside. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh shit, I almost hope Terrence wins because I think I have a better shot against him. I didn't know Durant was gonna come back. Durant ended up coming back, but only like the second week. I think he came back for like a few games, but not the whole week, not the whole matchup. But I think the Whiteside, I forget exactly who he had on his team.
I did check out this.
Obviously Whiteside. I think he had like Giannis and Wall, And
No. He had. I remember because I faced him in the semis. He had Jokic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
His top players are Jokic, Wall, and
Did he
who
have
else?
Giannis? I think he had Giannis.
Nah, he didn't have Giannis.
No,
It was the
not
semis. You had Bucket versus Buckingham. That's when you faced Giannis.
Okay.
But yeah, he had his top players was John Wall and Jokic for the most part. So overall, I felt like Jokic was the most improved fantasy player overall. What would you say? Who you thought was like one of the top fantasy improving players from last year to this season overall? You would say.
That's interesting. As far as Jokic, that's interesting because I think going into the season, Jokic was really hyped. So he was taken pretty high in a lot of drafts, and really the ideal situation for Jokic was if you let someone else draft him and then you traded for him during the middle of the season. Because for the first half of the season, they were like starting Nurkic, and Jokic was coming off the bench and he wasn't playing that well. And then if you traded for him in the middle of the season, you got prime value because you probably could have traded like a mid to late.
He took off once Nurkic went to Portland.
As soon as Nurkic went away, he took off. But as far as his average draft position, he was taken pretty high because a lot of people were expecting a lot of things from him. So I think he ended up like a top 30 something player, and he's probably drafted in like the top 40 or 50 on average.
Cool. Let me ask you for next season, how many big men you predict? You personally would take over Nurkic. You would take over Nurkic.
Over Jokic?
Or not over Nurkic. I mean over Jokic from the Nuggets.
Okay, that's tough. I think Jokic is gonna be a top big man.
You think he's gonna go like out of 16? Teams. You think he's gonna go first or second round next year?
Second round.
I don't. So you don't think nobody's gonna take the leap and possibly somebody would take the lead, but
I don't think he's quite worth the first round pick yet, but he's definitely worth the second round
pick for sure.
He's kind of like a Cousins light. He does a little bit of everything, but for him, his main drawback for now is his steals and blocks are pretty average for the minutes he plays.
Yeah, it's not like but his blocks could be better for a big man.
His points, rebounds, and assists are insane for a big man. Like he's gonna put up. I think next year he's gonna put up like 20, 10, and like 5 assists. Which is insane. But
so what big man would you right now? What name all the big man you would draft over him as we speaking right now? You would estimate. This video probably gonna go 40 minutes, but it's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Gonna be long. All right, so obvious ones. Cat's still in front of him. Even considering the injury risk, I think you got to put AD in front of him. And then beyond that, it actually gets pretty close. I would give the edge to like Cousins. Cousins is just a little more proven, but he's a high turnover guy. I think Jokic could end up very similar to stats like a Cousins guy, like mid 20 points, over 10 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists. But he's going to have a lot of turnovers for a big man because they run the offense to him a lot in Denver.
Okay,
and
cool.
Outside of that, I can't think of too many guys. He's close to a lot of guys. Like, so Miles Turner is kind of like the opposite of Jokic. Miles Turner is like a efficiency guy, so he's like low turnovers, good percentages. But his points and rebounds aren't going to wow you. He's going to average like 14, 15 points and like 7 or 8 rebounds.
All right. Name your first and second team all fantasy, and then we could name your first and second team all fantasy you would think this season. And wait, first let's start off with who was the most disappointing fantasy player you thought was going to put up major numbers, but their numbers were super suspect this season, and who was the players that you thought was like, wow, I can't believe their fantasy numbers. And just name. You can start with the negative first. The players you thought that, wow, I didn't think they were gonna have this suspect of a season, versus the players that wow, I didn't think they was gonna have this good of a season. Just name off those players.
Right.
I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick.
Okay. You can just so I'm going solo for this. So suspect fantasy players. I'm gonna have to say, I think out of all the the first round draft picks, no one fucked up too much. Everyone kind of lived up to their potential. I think maybe first round, at least for our league. I'm looking at our draft right now, but Whiteside was probably a little overdrafted. Although interesting enough, he was a top team in our league still, so it wasn't that big a disappointment. But Whiteside was underperformed a little bit. Other guys, Millsap at 21 was probably a little bit of an overdraft. Carmelo was a little bit of a disappointment. There was no one that fucked up too much. None of the top players had like a season-ending injury. And on that same note, as far as like most improved, probably got to give that to Giannis. He was like a borderline round 1 draft pick, but he ended up being a top 5 player. So, he rocked that. And then, who else? I'm looking at the first couple rounds, and they're pretty on point, to be honest. I guess biggest disappointment in top 3 was probably Derek Favors. I didn't take him, but I'm actually a pretty big Favors fan. I'm glad I didn't draft him in this league, but
Favors. I was surprised how many injuries he had.
Favors got fucked with injuries. I have him in one of my leagues, and he screwed me over in that league. But he's normally a really good player in terms of like low turnovers and high steals and blocks.
So you're in 2 other fantasy leagues, right?
2 other main ones. And
so what was the prize for those leagues? And what was that? How many teams were involved?
Okay, so my 2 other money leagues are both 30-team leagues, actually. So you'd think the payouts would be higher because there's more teams, but actually the payouts are we diversify them a little bit. So like division winners get their money back. So like in my 2 30-team leagues, it's $20 and $30 buy-in, and winning your division is money back, and then each round of the playoffs that you win is also money back. So.
So it was 30 It was 30 teams for each league.
30 teams.
It was 30 owners.
Yeah, 30 owners.
So wow,
big leagues. Yeah.
So it was one manager for 30 owners.
Yeah, one manager for each 30 teams.
Wow, so this one manager kept up with all 30 people.
Yeah. It's pretty intense. It's fun. Actually, like one league was made because the other league succeeded. So like my first money league was a 30-team league that started 6 years ago. And that was a $20 buy-in, and that's the league I got Durant in, and so that one we mirror the NBA. So every team, like we're like a team in the NBA, and we have the same divisions and everything. And then the second league that's a $30 buy-in is like basically a copycat of that league. It's fun. It's fun with those leagues because the fringe, like the waiver wire guys, I feel like it makes a little bit bigger difference if you follow closely, like. In a 16-team league, I mean waivers still matter, but like. Yeah.
So how many players was on this? How many players were on the roster and starting and versus bench? Like for our league it was 10 players starting and then 3 on the bench. What about the other leagues?
So both 30-team leagues we got 6 starting spots. We don't differentiate between guards and forwards, so we do 2 guards, 2 forwards, 1 center, and one 6-man. So 6 starting. And then we have 5 bench.
So that's quite a big of a difference between 10 and 6 players.
It's different, and
involved.
And the leagues are different because both are 9 category head to head. But so there's standard 8, which is like points, rebounds, assists, free throw, field goal percentage, steals, blocks.
So both of the leagues the other 2 leagues you were involved in was only 9 categories?
9 categories, yeah.
So it was just
one added 3-point percentage, one added turnovers, but neither had both.
Okay, so our league had both. So
yeah,
that's
our
the
league
difference.
had both. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how do you think we can? Is there you have any suggestions of how to improve the league for next season regarding categories or scoring or anything like that?
Really, when it comes to what categories you want to add, I feel like it's really personal preference. It's whatever you want to add. I think, maybe because I played a league that counted 3-point percentage, which is a little uncommon. Maybe that gave me like a little bit of more experience involved in I know when I took Bradley Beal, a big reason I took him is because high volumes on 40% plus percentage. But it's really up to you to decide what's if you like it or not. So personally for me, adding 3-point percentage and turnovers, I think it's different, it's unique, so I enjoy it. But it kind of comes down. You gotta plan your draft around your categories.
So what would you think about our league stand with the same 10 categories for next season? Do you think we can possibly improve it by adding any other categories or dismissing any categories we currently have? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I won, so I gotta say I like the categories right now, right?
Oh yeah, because you won, right?
But
sure.
I'm pretty open to anything, any suggestions. Personally, in the past I've kind of disliked turnover leagues just because I feel like the top players, it kind of hurts them because all the top players are gonna have high turnovers for the most part, and then stuff like that. But it's all about adjusting. You got to adapt to your environment.
Yeah.
So you look at whatever categories we decide. If we want to decide we want to add double doubles or.
All right. What do you think about the playoff structure for our league versus the other two leagues you're in? The playoff structure.
I like the playoff structure. I like the 2 weeks for sure. I think it gives. There's less chance involved. It's more about the best team wins.
Because you got more time to know what's going on.
Yeah. For sure. So I definitely like the 2 week matchups. That's definitely a plus that my leagues don't have.
So your other leagues don't have 2 week playoff matchups?
No, we just got 1 week. So it's kind of like March Madness, like underdog has a chance to upseed a high seed. Anytime a high seed like their top player misses a game or two, like that lets the bottom seed in, a big opportunity.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
The longer playoff matchups make sure the best team wins kind of.
Cool. So let me ask you this: overall, who do you think? Overall, not even on your team.
Okay.
Who do you think was the most disappointing fantasy player, or who you think was the most fantasy player that you didn't expect the numbers to come, like the numbers they produce, you didn't expect that, and the number, for disappointing at most, wow, I can't believe their numbers.
Okay. For our format, I would probably say most disappointing was probably. Andrew Wiggins might be up there. I like Wiggins a lot as a real life player, but in our format, very mediocre or slightly below average 3-point percentage, and then high turnovers and little assists. He's like a classic player. He scores a lot of points, but he doesn't do much else.
The kid I lost to in the semis, you could have faced in the finals instead of me. I won by 1 still. You saw that, right? How I won by 1 still, right?
Yeah.
I was shocked. I was like,
I was following that because I was wondering who I was gonna face in the finals. But I'm looking this year. None of the top picks, none of the top 20, 25 picks had major injuries. So there were no huge disappointments in the first round. But if I was gonna go as high as I could, I would say
Wiggins.
Maybe Whiteside. Yeah, Wiggins was more like a 3rd or 4th round pick. Whiteside was a little disappointing, but the team that drafted Whiteside still ended up on.
So who you thought was the most players that you couldn't believe their fantasy? Name all the players that you couldn't believe their fantasy numbers this season. Just name all those players.
Oh shit.
And name the one that you thought you couldn't believe the most.
Okay. I'm gonna be a little bit of a homer here, but Embiid was a fucking beast this year. Okay, so I'm a Sixers fan.
Yeah.
I know for fantasy, Embiid was a little shaky because he wasn't playing back to backs, and he missed the last 30-40 games of the season. But damn,
beginning of the season,
fucking amazing, man. As a Sixers fan, I'm so excited for Embiid. Next season, I'm telling you guys right now, I'm giving you all advice. It's gonna go against me right here, but y'all should take Embiid in the 2nd round tops. This guy, he has a whole summer to heal and shit. If he can play at least 70 games next year, he's gonna be a borderline top 10 player. He's insane right now. Embiid's amazing. I love Embiid.
So who do you think? All right, let's since we're done with fantasy pretty much for the most part, who do you think gonna win MVP of the league right now? It looks like it's a toss-up between Harden and Westbrook. Do you think they're gonna decide it off the first round of the playoffs since they're matching up? That's what it seems like. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
I think actually, I think whoever wins will probably be whoever can advance the farthest. But if I had to decide right now, I'd give the edge to Westbrook.
Do you think it's possible they could do co-MVPs?
Maybe.
When is that? Have they ever did that?
I know they've done co-rookie of the years. I don't know if
they never did co-MVPs.
Not that
I don't think they never did that before, but they did co-rookie of the years. Yeah. Interesting.
I gotta give Westbrook props. You know,
Cool.
I'm not an OKC fan.
So if Harden wins the series, you think if Houston wins the series, you think they're gonna give it to Harden?
If Houston wins and Westbrook exits first round, I'd probably give the edge to Harden. But it's really close, and they're both really deserving, to be honest.
You think what's the percentage chance you think they'll do the co MVPs possibly?
Co-MVP is probably pretty low, maybe 10%.
10%.
If it hasn't happened,
So whoever
before,
wins the series pretty much gonna get it for the most part.
Yeah, I think if we say even ground, if they both win their series, I gotta give the edge to Westbrook. He's done more with less, you know. The Rockets have a better chance at winning the championship, but in terms of, you know, what their team is like. That OKC team, this reminds me of like the 2001 Sixers, which, like I said, I'm a Sixers fan. So like I've always been, Iverson's like my favorite player, and he carried a shit team to the finals, you know. And if Westbrook can even get them to like the conference finals or finals even, like he's taking a team full of role players there by himself. And yeah, I just got to give props to Westbrook. He's done historic things this season.
So who do you think gonna be the number one draft pick for the NBA? Let's get that out of the way real quick. They say it's Fultz or Ball, like pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you think it depends? It depends on who do you think gonna land the number one draft pick possibly?
I think it does depend on whoever lands the first draft pick. It sounds like LA really wants Ball, which is a pretty good fit. If they pick Ball, they can play D'Angelo a shooting guard, which I think would help him out. But outside of the Lakers, I think if any other team picks first, I feel like they got to take Fultz. Fultz is just a more well-rounded prospect.
So Boston looking like they have one of the top picks because they have the Nets pick.
Yo, Boston's stacked with assets. I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't make a move at the trade deadline. I thought they were going to trade for Butler or George for sure. But
cool.
Yeah, they got that high draft pick. I think anyone besides the Lakers, for now they gotta give the edge to Fultz, but we all know a lot of things change during the NBA Combine once they get the measurements and stuff. So this is a deep draft. There's a lot of rookies that can make a big difference.
So who you think gonna win Coach of the Year?
Coach of the Year? Oh shit. Damn. Who's a new coach that's been in one of the top 10 teams? I can't even think of one. I guess you always have to put Kerr and Popovich up there. I'm trying to think of a.
You think East Coast team could win? East Coast team could get Coach of the Year, or no? You think it's only gonna go to either the Spurs or the Warriors? Coach.
Brad. I mean, any of the top teams have a chance. So like Tyronn Lue, Steve Kerr, Popovich all have a chance. But I feel like people want to give the Coach of the Year to like a new coach. Usually,
that's what it usually goes.
Celtics have been really good. I really like Brad Stevens.
Yeah, he could possibly win it.
So he has a chance, but I don't know if he's a legit has a top chance necessarily. So I guess it's pretty wide open.
Who do you think gonna win Most Improved? Who are your top candidates for Most Improved and number one officially?
Most Improved
player.
I feel like the obvious pick is Giannis. Giannis has been a stud this year. He's carried that Bucks team.
Yo, it looks like nobody could stop him from getting to the lane. That's what it looks like.
No, in terms of numbers, I feel like you gotta give it to Giannis. I know he won't actually get it, but I feel like a dark horse pick is Bradley Beal. He's I mean, maybe I've just personally had.
So who you think who the NBA is gonna actually give it to?
I think most likely Giannis would be my guess, which is well deserved, you know.
Interesting. Rookie of the Year.
Okay. This is a big toss up. So because this depends on if you think injuries should play a part. I know personally I'm a little biased, but I think Joel Embiid should win it because you know, even though he only played like less than half the games, like not even like 30 something games out of 82, which is less than half, but he was so dominant when he played that I feel like you got to give it to him. But if you're gonna say he doesn't deserve it because of the injuries, which is understandable, I think it's kind of a toss-up between either Saric, which is also on the Sixers, or Malcolm Brogdon. I love Saric as a Sixers fan, but I think if you're not going to give it to Embiid, you got to give it to Brogdon because
his squad made the playoffs.
He's
His
on a
squad made
playoff
playoffs.
team. He's a
Yeah.
starter.
I made a trade for the kid.
That
And
kid's-
it was interesting. He got injured during the finals. You saw
Yeah.
he missed he missed a couple games,
Yeah.
and I was like, damn, like, but it's all good, man. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
He kind of shitted on me, man. I don't know. That might make
He shit
me
the
put
pants.
his draft status slightly lower for next season since he did shit on me in the finals. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. For most of the season, Brogdon, he really stepped up. Good efficiency for a rookie. That's impressive. Most of the times rookies come in and they turn the ball over a lot and shoot a low percentage because they're trying to adjust to the NBA. But Brogdon was real impressive.
Yeah, his 3-point percentage was close to 40 actually,
that was
which
insane.
is way above average.
Yep.
And his field goal percentage was more like below average because it was like 44 or something like that.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's all good. I didn't make a trade for the kid, but yeah, kid couldn't help me win the finals, but it's all good. He helped me get to the finals,
Yeah.
so it's all good. So we'll see. What do you think for next season? Like, do you think, all right, since Leonard was your best player this season and helped you win it all, how tough you think it would be for you to take a player over Leonard next for example, if you had the number 1 pick, for example,
Oh shit.
how hard would it be for you to take somebody over Leonard? Like, you think it would be what players would you possibly consider taking over Leonard if for some reason you lucked up and got the first pick for next season?
Right. Yeah. That's an interesting question. As far as things stand right now, I think it's gonna be a similar situation. I think in years past, there's always been usually like a pretty obvious top 1 or 2 players. But last year it was pretty close. I think next year, if everyone stays on the same team, it's gonna be pretty close once again. I'd probably give the edge. To Durant for number 1 player. He showed he can play with Curry and Thompson and still stay high efficiency and still get his numbers. His freak injury this year was bad
it's
luck.
like it's gonna be less of a chance he get injured the next
It's
season.
bad luck,
Yeah,
but
that's the thing.
his injury was
Yeah.
it's a freak accident. It's not like an ACL injury. So if he stays healthy, not considering health, I think you got to give the edge to Durant. But I think there's going to be a good 5 or 6 players in contention for number 1 pick. You got to give it to Durant, Leonard, Westbrook, Harden, Curry, and even his outside shots. You
AD.
gotta include AD and Karl Anthony Towns in there. So.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like a good
I
list.
think as long as you got a top 5 pick, I think you're pretty.
How do you think you think DeMarcus Cousins is gonna re-sign with the Pelicans? What do you think his situation gonna be?
That's interesting. I really don't know what to think.
And
of that.
Melo's situation, those 2 situations. What do you think about those?
Cousins, I definitely didn't see him signing with the Pelicans. That was kind of out of left field.
Well, they traded him, so he had no choice.
Yeah. I mean, they traded him, but I didn't see the Pelicans as a landing spot for him. It's an interesting matchup. I think him and AD complement each other well, so that could work out well. But I don't know what his thoughts are on in terms of re-signing. In terms of Carmelo, I think there's a very good chance he leaves.
What's the top destination?
In terms of top destination, that's real tough because he's still technically on contract. I think he has his bird rights, so if he's gonna get traded, he has to approve the trade, which is pretty tough. So if you're thinking about places he would approve a trade to, you have potentially Boston. If Boston loses in like the first round this year, and they decide they need a go-to scorer, they could potentially trade for him. Maybe that draft pick they have from Brooklyn, that top 3 draft pick, they could trade that for Melo. Otherwise, there's the Lakers, but it's hard to see Melo going anywhere. Right now, Melo's kind of an enigma. He's still considered a top player, but he's a special player. He's an ISO player, so he has one of the best one-on-one games in the NBA, but he doesn't fit a team offense well. So if you want to build around Melo, you kind of got to build a team around Melo.
I think his Clippers is the best destination for him since they always been lacking a small forward. But what's your thoughts on what's the best destination for him to try to win it all? Possibly, where he could fit.
Clippers is a top destination for him in terms of team fit. I think the main thing is Melo's got to change his game a little bit. He has a great ISO game, but the way the NBA is going right now is people don't really play ISO games anymore, you know? Like, you look at the top teams the past year, Spurs, Cavs, Warriors, they're all teams that emphasize ball movement. You know, they no one holds on to the ball for more than 2 or 3 seconds. You look at teams, you know, you look at the Nuggets and the Knicks that Melo's played on, he holds the ball for a long-ass time. They feed him in the high post, and he'll dribble it for 10 seconds until he gets what he wants. And, you know, it's not necessarily a bad shot, you know. A fadeaway mid-range jumper for him is a pretty high percentage shot, but that's just not how NBA teams build themselves right now. So I think he's gotta change his game a little bit to more of a catch-and-shoot player and focus a little more on defense. And stop trying to hone that ISO game, because no one really builds teams around ISO games anymore, you know? Cool. And that's coming from a Sixers fan who, my favorite player is Iverson, back in the days where he did everything, okay? Like, I respect players who can carry a team, but teams just don't build teams like that anymore. So
yeah.
So Melo's gotta change his game a little bit and fit the NBA right now. So
cool. So what's your... You think it's gonna be a third? We never seen a third rematch of the finals for this. I'm talking about the real, you know, the real season, you know, the real playoffs. What do you think? There's never been a third rematch before, Warriors Cavs, but that's what everybody predicting. Do you think it's actually gonna happen? Would you bet your money on the third rematch happening before and it never happened before in history of the NBA? Or what would you bet on?
If I had to bet on 2 teams, I would bet on Cavs and Warriors. But I think it's about a 50-50 shot. The thing is, there's a lot of teams in the West that got a shot right now. Rockets, Warriors, and I think the Jazz are really underrated. I think Jazz got a low-key, real good shot at going far in the playoffs. So there's a lot of teams in the West that could make it out. And even in the East, you know, Cavs are the favorite for sure, but the Wizards look really good, especially second half of the season.
They beat the Cavs in second, near the end,
And Boston, similar to the Utah Jazz, Boston has a really good team for the playoffs in terms of when the offense slows down a bit.
So your finals prediction is Cavs Warriors again?
My finals prediction would be Cavs Warriors.
And what would you predict that series turning out this time around?
I would say Warriors in 7 games.
7?
But
interesting. 7.
Yeah.
Interesting. At 7th game. Interesting.
The thing I love about the playoffs this year is there's so many good teams. I think all the series are going to be really great. You know, I've grown up watching, you know, NBA since I was a kid, and there's always been a dominant team like the Lakers for several years who've always just like swept their way through the playoffs. I think this year's playoffs is, by the time the 2 teams that get to the finals, I think they're going to already play, you know, 6-7 game series for the last 2 series, and they're going to be fucking tired, and it's gonna make for a great matchup because there's a lot of teams that are in for it right now.
What do you think it would take LeBron to reach I remember you did say Larry Bird is the best small forward you would think of all time, right? Or LeBron? Who do you think? What's your thought on that? You think if LeBron win the championship this year, he solidifies the number 1 small forward spot, or what's your thoughts? Ever?
Yeah.
All time.
I'm not a LeBron fan, but I gotta give my respect to him. I think for sure by the end of his career he'll be the best small forward of all time. I think as a Chicago native, I even have to consider that by the end of his career, he could be the best player of all time. LeBron's dominant, man. There's no way to put it. There's been no other player dominant on both ends of the floor other than him and close to Jordan, you know? And so right now, Jordan has the edge, but if LeBron wins another couple rings, which he has a really good shot to, you got to give the edge to LeBron, I think.
Okay, what if LeBron doesn't win it all this year? Do you think it affects him overreaching Larry Bird for the number 1 small forward for as far as, you know, right now?
I think right now they're pretty close. basically, assuming LeBron wins any more championships before the end of his career, I feel like you got to give the edge.
Yeah, if he wins another one, of course.
Even just one before the end of his career. Yeah. If he doesn't win a single championship from here on out,
then it's going to be a tight debate.
It'll be a tight debate. It'll be a tight debate. And I might give it to Bird. Give it to Bird.
But all he has to do is win one more. He could be the best small forward ever, pretty much. That's all it takes.
Yep.
So you think Warriors versus Cavs, 7 games? You think it's going 7? Interesting.
I think it's this.
So you think will win Finals MVP? You think who you think will win?
Easy picks Curry. Assuming Warriors win in the finals.
So you think Curry's gonna do better than he did last season for this year's playoffs and reaching the finals and everything and doing good in the finals?
Yeah, I think the thing is, I think that assuming that it's Cavs Warriors in the final, they're gonna stick LeBron on Kevin Durant, which gives Curry kind of free reign. He's gonna have to carry for most of the season. For the regular season, I would say Kevin Durant's slight edge for MVP, on the Warriors at least. But I think in the finals they're gonna stick LeBron on Durant for most of the time, and they're gonna make Curry beat them. So I gotta give the edge to that. Although my favorite, I don't know if I've told you this, but Iguodala has been my favorite player as a Sixers fan. He's been my favorite player for a long time. So when he won MVP 2 years ago, that was insane. That was one of
cause he kind of stole it out of nowhere.
He stole it out of nowhere, and I love that so much.
He got injured. You saw he messed up his back last season.
Yeah, he did
during Game 4.
Yeah. Right.
So it affected the Game 5, 6, and 7.
You know, I want to root for an Iguodala re-MVP, but I feel like that's like a 1% chance.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's what it is.
But really, I feel like these playoffs are going to be great. It's open to anyone. There's a lot of teams that have a chance to make it. It's not obvious. You know, Warriors and Cavs are the favorite, but in the East, you got the Celtics and Wizards who have a good shot at making it, I think. And in the West, you got Spurs, Rockets, and I like the Jazz a lot. A lot of people like the Clippers. It's wide open. There's gonna be a lot of 7-game series this year.
Yeah, let me ask you, since you got other owners in other leagues that you're in, I'm pretty sure that it might be a few owners we might need to recruit for our league next season. Maybe a couple owners. How easy you think it would be to get owners from your other leagues to join our league?
I think I could definitely get 1 or 2 owners from my other leagues. My other leagues are super competitive. The difference with them is I mean, you can see it as both a positive and a negative. But my 2 30-team leagues, they're dynasty leagues, so you can keep potentially the same team from year to year, which kind of gives you more of an incentive to stay involved. So in a redraft, so right now we got a redraft, and let's say if your top player, ends up missing most of the season, that pretty much you're fucked. You have no way to recover from that in a redraft because you can't really play for the future. But in redraft leagues, you can always play for the future. So let's say in a redraft league, my top pick gets injured. If I want to play for future seasons, I can trade for a top pick next year or an up and coming player
So your other leagues pretty much is based off of being able to hold players for the next season.
Yeah.
But our league is different where it switches around every year.
Yeah. So our league, there's definitely less trades in our league. In my 2 dynasty leagues, there's probably on average 1 or 2 trades a week. It's insane. It's there's so many trades, but you got to look at it long term because for example, Ben Simmons was injured all of this year, right? But in my 30-team league, the team that drafted Simmons was he was one of the bottom teams. So
as a Sixers fan, would you take Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons?
I take Embiid.
Embiid first? I got you. Because you haven't seen Ben Simmons do anything
I like
yet.
Simmons, but I think his first year or two, I think he's going to struggle with percentages. I think he's going to shoot a low field goal and free throw percentage, and he's going to turn it over a lot. But he'll put up high counting stats.
So where do you think he's going to actually be the starting small forward for the Sixers or point guard? Because it looks like either one, pretty much.
Yeah, it's It's a little tough to say. I think the Sixers are gonna make a lot of moves this summer. I think they'll make some surprising moves.
You think they're gonna keep T.J. McCollum at the point guard for the next season?
That's tough to say. See,
Yeah.
I love T.J. McConnell. I think he's like a top-notch backup point guard, but he doesn't fit with Simmons. But the thing is, if Simmons starts and T.J. McConnell can come off the bench, if they can just have another guy in the bench unit who can handle a little bit, I think T.J. McConnell's a great player. But I think the Sixers' biggest problem right now is Saric and Simmons.
Cool.
Saric and Simmons are kind of the same player. Simmons has the higher potential, but Saric is more proven. And so I think they're going to try to play them at small forward. Simmons at small forward and Saric at power forward to start the season. But long term, I don't think that's the answer. So I think long term is if Simmons stays healthy the first half, I think they're going to look to trade Saric at the trade deadline. If Simmons can't stay healthy, they might commit to Saric. But they need shooting. They need shooting is what they need. So
cool.
they gotta play Simmons or Saric at the power forward long term, I think, and they gotta get a small forward that can shoot.
I gotta ask you about real quick about the Ball's daddy. I know you heard a lot about him in the media, right? What you think about?
Oh my god!
You never seen a dad that outrageous about their son
that guy's
becoming
ridiculous.
an NBA player, right? Like
I gotta say, okay, it's funny, it's entertaining to watch, but I think he's over the top. I don't think LeBron. I don't think.
You think what percentage chance you think they keep saying the Lakers? What percentage chance you think that's gonna happen? 90%. That's what I'm thinking.
For the top pick or to land Lonzo Ball?
Yeah, for the Lakers to get Lonzo Ball. Because they say they don't care if they get first pick. They just want to land with the Lakers. So that's what they make it seem like.
I think Lonzo Ball. If Lakers get a top 2 pick, I think he'll end up with the Lakers. I think if the Lakers get the top pick, they'll take Ball. But I think if any other team gets the first pick, they'll take Fultz for now.
Did you see the kid from Kentucky, Fox?
Oh yeah,
Fox
is real good
better. He actually played better than Ball during that playoff game.
So here's the thing: as a Sixers fan, we need a point guard, right? We need guards in general. We got big men like galore. We got Simmons, Sarge, Embiid, Okafor.
Y'all been trying to trade for the longest.
We need a point guard, okay? So on one hand.
It seemed like y'all weakest position might be shooting guard though. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, in general, both guard positions. We need shooters, and Lonzo Ball, he shoots a good percentage, but his shot looks funky. So people are questioning if that'll translate. Markelle Fultz, on the other hand, he has good form and he shoots a good percentage. So I think
if you was Philly GM, who would you draft? If
I would
take
Fultz. I would take Fultz.
Interesting.
I think most teams would take Fultz. I think Lakers would take Ball over him.
Yeah, because he's from LA. Yeah, Cali and everything. Yeah.
So I think it just fits.
It just fits because it's from where you.
Lonzo Ball's dad is.
Outrageous.
He's fucking on cocaine or some shit. Man. That guy.
On cocaine.
Like he's funny. Okay, I love him for it.
Yeah.
I think he's just fucking around for the fun of it. Like. If I had a kid that was gonna go to the NBA,
he's probably bored. He's probably bored.
He's probably bored. He probably just wants to fuck with people. But
why not?
I think Lonzo Ball has a chance to be an all-star, but he's no guarantee. He could end up being very mediocre. So.
But man, yeah, that's what it is, man. Yeah, is there anything else we left out about basketball? Pretty much.
I don't know. I really covered everything.
Pretty much for the most part. But yeah, man, my man won a good, 500 right here, 500, you feel me? So yeah, man, the kid, what you know what you gonna do with your 500, or you gonna just do what you regularly do, just pay your bills?
Man, gotta put it in savings. I'm gonna be boring, but
are you gonna
let me tell you, if any of you guys make it out to LA, hit me and Terrence up. We'll go out together. I'll buy you guys all drinks. Yeah.
For sure.
Anyway, any of you guys come to LA?
If you're a part of this fantasy league, and I know you, and you come to LA, we got you on a couple of drinks for sure.
We'll go out, man. And I'll buy rounds all night.
For sure. We got you for a night for drinks. So that's what it is, man.
Let's have a drink for fun.
LA.
Cheers to the league, man.
Oh yeah, even if you come to Vegas too, we possibly can meet you out there too.
Hell yeah.
So that's what it is, man. So yeah, man, that's the wrap up, man. The winner of the league, man. Shout out to Kev. Yo, I met him. I met you through like a Uber ride, right? A couple years ago, man. That's what it was. That was interesting, man. That was I was like, yeah, I was talking. I think I was talking NFL fantasy or something.
I think you were actually listening to NBA radio.
Oh yeah, I was listening to ESPN radio because I listen to ESPN radio a lot. They were talking about basketball.
Shit, you follow fantasy? I started talking to you, but
and that's what it is. You had friends with you too, right? Or,
yeah. I mean, I remember I was pretty out of it that night. But.
Yo, so since how many friends you think legitimately will want to like join our league for next season? Because I feel like, we probably gonna have to dismiss a couple of owners. That's how it usually goes. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple owners, they slip up and sleep. You probably could get a 1 or 2 or 3.
I can probably get 1 or 2 or 3. Yeah,
sure.
I'll wait and see how many spots we need, and I'll hit up my two 30-team leagues and see if anyone wants to join.
30-team leagues, that's too easy to get a couple few owners.
People will want to join.
Yeah, so that's what's up. So yeah, that's what's up, man. That's the fantasy wrap up for this season, man. Interview for the winner. Shout out to D's Nuts. Oh yeah, what made you decide to name your team D's Nuts? Where did you get that? What made you come up with that team name out of all the other team names, man?
You guys hear about I think he was like a 14 or 15-year-old who ran for like governor of his state or something. I thought it was hilarious.
It was in the U.S.
Yeah, in the U.S. It was like some random ass state, man. It's okay. The guy looks like fucking Gordon Hayward. First of all, which is just search D's Nuts like election and just read out. It's hilarious. It's
2016.
Yeah. No. Or actually, yeah, maybe 2016. I don't know.
For the Trump election.
Yeah, but it's fucking hilarious. Basically, some kid ran for political. Yeah, actually, it was the Hillary Trump campaign.
Oh.
He ran against them, and he actually got like a decent amount of. It was like a joke thing, kind of like how you guys know how like Harambe, like people submitted like a presidential candidate for Harambe. It's like a joke. Well, this like 14-year-old ran as D's Nuts, and he had like over 20% in a couple states. It was hilarious.
What state was he located in?
I want to say Utah, but I might be mixing it up just because Gordon Hayward's from Utah, and the guy looks exactly like Gordon Hayward. But
we checked out Summer League this past season. What you think? You might 50-50 chance you check out Summer League? What you think?
Yeah, probably down. Yeah,
50-50 chance.
We'll probably hit up a Summer League in Vegas this year, so if anyone wants to join.
Yeah, man. July, second weekend of July?
We'll party it up.
Second and third weekend of July. Hit us up, man. If you're we can get a hotel room for the low. We split, man. If you're real serious about it. Yeah. If you got to bring your family and everything, that's a different cost, 'cause you bringing other people, of course. So that's what it is. But yeah, man. Shout out to the fantasy winner, man. Kevin.
Thank you.
My dog, man. 1 to 500, man. Guys. That's what it is, man. Next season he'll be back for sure, man. Trying to defend his championship crown. So that's what it is. We'll holler. Deuces.